What's unique about our wonderful city? Well, where do you go for your big events, such as Bay Dreams, the All Blacks, Nelson City, of course? With a fine selection of bars and restaurants to choose from, where do you go? Nelson City, of course. Boutique shopping, fashion, art galleries. What am I doing here? Hey, if you want to come watch live theatre, what more can I say? We are uniquely Nelson.
Welcome to the Talk of the Town, brought to you by Uniquely Nelson. I'm your co-host, Chris Butler, and alongside me is Uniquely Nelson General Manager, Simon Duffy. Good to have you back here, mate.
Good to be here.
We're broadcasting from the amazing Eight Plates restaurant on Trafalgar Street upstairs, and our guest today is owner of Beg's Music Shop on Hardy Street, the one and only Tim Babbage. G'day, Tim. How are you, mate?
Morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Great to have you here. And this is where we're going to unravel the rich tapestry, the life and times of Tim Babbage. Tim, this is your life. No, I'm just kidding. So let's get into it. And first off, Tim, big history with Beg's Music. Can you tell us a little bit about, I guess without a whole podcast on it, because it is a rich history, but Beg's Music has been around a long time, hasn't it?
There is actually a book on the history of
there
Beg's
is.
Music.
Yes,
there is.
Buy the book.
There you go. Look, it was set up originally in Dunedin in 1863.
Oh, wow. How's that?
Scottish gentleman by the name of Charles Begg came out from Scotland. He was a piano maker. Moved out to New Zealand, immigrated along with his family, opened a shop in Princess Street in Dunedin, and he passed away relatively early. His wife actually grew the company. They opened up in Nelson. They bought an existing store in Nelson in 1910 in Trafalgar Street, actually. So I've been here a long time.
Wow.
So 100 and
Under the name of Beg's?
under the name of Beggs,
Yeah.
114 years in Nelson.
Yeah.
So yeah, been here a long time. So yeah, same thing. It's always done musical instruments. It's always done audio. So right from wind up gramophone days, we did stereos. Well, not stereos, it was monos back then.
Yeah.
So it's been here a long time.
Wow, that's amazing. I had no idea.
Give us a bit of your background, Tim. Where you from? What's your passion?
Bizarrely enough, I quite like music.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe I quite enjoy music. I am a terrible player of music. I am a avid listener of music. I was born in Timaru. So, seems to be half of Nelson sometimes when you talk to them.
The West Coast. That's right.
It's amazing, isn't it? So I was born in Timaru, moved up here when I was in high school. My parents moved up here and been here ever since. Why would you go anywhere else?
So were you Nelson College?
No, Nayland College.
Nayland College.
Nayland
College.
Oh.
Yeah.
What is that? Was that around back then?
It was around about
1863.
We're not talking 1910, Simon.
You're showing, you've aged well since 1863.
I know the here is deceptive.
Yeah.
Hey, come on. What got you into the world of music and owning a music shop? Just
Only
natural
music shop.
progression?
Yeah, look, it's I started in retail in 85. Dates me a bit, 85. And I started working with Noel Leemings, actually. Really enjoyed the audio side of it. Left Leemings, went to work for Beggs for the couple I owned it at the time, Pete and Caroline. And worked there for a number of years, left, went and worked for another national retailer, managed a store for them, went and worked in media for a little bit, actually, funnily enough, which wasn't my jam, to be fair. And then Pete and Caroline wanted to sell it. They came to me and said, "You interested in buying it?" And I did.
When was it? Back in
1995.
Right.
That's a while ago.
Yeah.
So had you ventured away? Have you remained in Nelson all that time?
Yeah.
Or right.
No, Nelson boy.
How's that?
Other than Timaru, but
Well, they say 20 years, but so you've well past that,
it's
haven't
at
you?
least 20 years, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. The experience at Big's music, it's quite exceptional because when you go in there, it's just the variety of instruments and musicians getting the opportunity to have a go. And often when you walk past, there's someone playing a guitar or something. Can you tell us a little bit about the concept behind, or the philosophy behind, what you do at Big's? And has that kind of come through from the early days of when it first started?
Look, some things about retail have changed dramatically in the time I've been a retailer, in the 40 odd years I've been a retailer. Some things have changed a lot. Some things have not changed at all. One of the things that hasn't changed at all is customers need to experience something. If they come in the door and they want to play something, you let them play it. Quite simply, you go, yeah, what do you want to try? And why don't you try something better than what you've ever tried before? Because that's a cool experience that people have. They're unlikely to buy the really expensive guitar, but it's an experience they have that they don't necessarily get day to day. And you've got to look after your customers, especially, Nelson is, we like to think we're a big city, but it's a small town in reality. So you don't get a new customer every day. It's the same customers over and over again who have got the same mates. So you've got to look after those customers. It's not Auckland where you've got another 1.5 million people who might walk past your door tomorrow. You've got the, we treat Nelson, Tasman, Golden Bay as our home. That's 100,000 people. It's not that many when you're looking at a niche like music. So,
how many big shops are there in New Zealand?
So, these days, is named Bigs.
Yeah,
Four,
right.
At peak, there was 40.
Oh,
so in the 1950s, it was 40 shops, 400 staff.
right. Wow.
And then, third generation of the family thing, I suppose.
Yeah.
But, there are a lot of the stores still trading, but they've gradually changed their names to, someone's own ego, should we say?
Yeah, right. Yeah. And so those 4 shops are still part of the network. They're part of the business, or they?
No, they're all independently owned.
Independently owned, right?
We have a buying group. There's 20 odd stores in
Right.
the buying group, which makes us price competitive.
Yes.
That's obviously the thing you have to be these days. You can't be bloating the price.
Yeah.
Tim, running a music shop, any business has its challenges. What do you find the most challenging aspects, and also the most enjoyable part?
Challenging aspects of running a business. Look, it's just staying up to date. Like I said, retail's changed. I started retail in 85. So what's that? Don't want to count.
15 plus 23.
Yeah, it's a long time ago, and retail has changed dramatically in that time. If you go back to those days, it was the days of Friday night shopping.
Yeah,
in town, Tuesday night shopping in Richmond. So it was Friday night shopping. Saturday was just starting, and it wasn't important. Friday was by far the biggest day of retail. The internet didn't exist. There was 2 radio stations, just 2 radio stations. Certainly you couldn't buy television advertising. Someone in Nelson who bought television advertising would have been rich. And the customers, the only knowledge the customers had was either by walking into your shop or by buying an enthusiast magazine, especially in music. You could buy a guitar magazine full of stuff that you just couldn't buy in New Zealand. So you flip forward 40 odd years, and that's completely flipped on its head. You can advertise nationally on the internet very easily. We do it every day. Customers walk in the door armed with a whole lot more knowledge. They walk in the door and they say, I want an XYZ in this color, and it's this price. And you go, okay.
And that's the internet.
Yeah. It's the internet. And we also had a whole lot of customers who walk in the door and say, I want to do this. I have no idea how to achieve it. So we get 2 customers.
Yeah.
To a point, we get the customer who has no idea and just says, I want to do this. Or sometimes I'm not even sure what they want to do. You get that. I want something vaguely in my brain. And you got to step them through what it's going to take to get to the other end of what they want. And they don't want to know what the boxes are. You want this box, and this box. And they go, cool, what's a box? and you got the other customer who's an absolute tweaker who knows exactly which bit they want. And sometimes they come in and go, I want this bit and this bit, and you go, you don't really work.
Right. Yeah.
You need another bit. It's the contrast.
But that's the beauty of it. We're having a conversation earlier about the comparison of online sales and shop sales, but they're doing their research online, but it's that ability to go in and talk to the expert, isn't it? And you've probably figured it out in your head, but you've missed a part somewhere along the line, and that's why you need to deal with people that are dealing with this every day.
Oh, look, it's an advantage when people come and say, how do you keep up? It's like, well, it's osmosis. It's what if you're doing it every day, you're not keeping up. It just changes. Like I said, if I think back over the time of, when I first started, CD players were just coming out and they were goddamn expensive, and you could barely buy a CD. It was like Dire Straits, Brothers in Arms, or the 1812 Overture. That was pretty much your choice. Now, Spotify, you've got how many? 100 million freaking.
Well, I look at it, it's a CD a month subscription, but I've got access to thousands of songs.
And music shop.
Yeah,
that's right.
People complain about the cost of Spotify or Tidal. Pick your poison. But I used to spend a lot more money in that in the CD shop buying CDs. So to me it's cheaper, but it depends whether you're into music or not, doesn't it?
So what's the enjoyable part? So there's challenges obviously with running a business, but what keeps you going?
What keeps me going? It's a really good question. It's a difficult question. What keeps me going? Look, I really enjoy the interaction. You don't get, the only thing that probably gives you a more visceral interaction is hospitality. And I'd never do that because, one mistake and you're the worst thing on sliced bread. It's
too many late nights.
Yeah, too many late nights. And my drinking wouldn't handle it. And I enjoy, it sounds really corny, doesn't it? This is going to sound really corny. Well, I enjoy finding people the right thing that they're looking for. They don't even know what they're looking for. A lot of times they don't know, and that's the challenge. They come and they go, I want to get to X. How do I do it? And giving them that. And I had a lady come in this morning, literally, and go, the system you told us just sounds amazing, and that's the cool bit.
You're on Hardy Street. You've been there long time. You're pretty much in the heart of the city. So tell us about what it's like being in the heart of the city. The pros and cons, I guess.
Pros and cons of being in Hardy Street. Hardy Street's best street in town, obviously.
By far.
Everyone's moving there.
It's
and is there a difference between Lower Hardy Street and Upper? So do the Lower and Hardy Street and Upper Street people have competition? You just don't talk to them.
We just don't talk.
Lower.
No, it's not true. Look, it's the whole CBD has a really good vibe in general. As much as if we go back pre-Christmas and one of the news media in Nelson was very heavily down on the CBD, but it was, to be perfectly frank, it was complete bollocks. The CBD is a great place to do business. It's a great place to come. It's a great place to shop. It's a great place to have dinner. It's all the things that make the CBD. Even walking here today, the place was vibing. So, the CBD is great. The challenges in the CBD are obviously the obvious ones. It's transport and parking. They are the challenges of the CBD. I wouldn't say they're it's not the worst thing to have a problem with. It's a challenge because more people want to come in here. If people weren't coming in here, you wouldn't have a traffic issue. You wouldn't have a car parking issue. So if you didn't have that as an issue, you'd be sitting here going, "Oh shit, we really are in trouble," because there's no one wanting to come to town. It's a 10-minute commute from Richmond, whereas it's not. So I think people make a much bigger deal of the, don't want to use the death of the CBD as a phrase, than it really is in reality. It's changed in the time. Like I said, my 40-year experience in the CBD tells me that there is more shopping in the CBD now than there was 40 years ago. A shitload more shopping in the CBD now than it was 40 years ago. But our idea of the CBD needs to change from being Bridge Street, Trafalgar Street, Hardy Street, because it's now stretches right out to St. Vincent Street. You know, you've got Briscoe's out there, you've got the warehouse out there, you've got, you know, the supermarkets, you've got all Harvey Normans, you've got all those players who are still really are in the CBD, but they just happen to be 200 metres further that way than what we think the CBD is.
So it's changed from just a square mile, as in Halifax, Collingwood, Selwyn, Rutherford. No, you're right. It's become more diverse and further.
I started in retail. There was no retailers in Collingwood, Rutherford, Halifax, Selwyn Place. They didn't exist. There was nothing in those streets. It was actually semi-industrial. Ministry of Works was down the road where McDonald's is.
Did you said a couple of weeks ago to me, even within the surrounding area of Montgomery and Buxton, there wasn't a lot of retail on the inside?
No, there wasn't.
It was just the back end of buildings, the entrance, deliveries. Yeah. Looking forward, Tim, in your opinion, what could be improved, or what could be in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years for Nelson City? Where do you see Nelson City going? And does Nelson need an overall vision, a long-term vision? I know COVID has been a huge interrupter, not just in Nelson, right across the world, but where do you see Nelson City going from here?
You know, being as biased as I am towards Nelson City, and I live 3 blocks that way. You know, so I am a Nelson City boy. It's still to me the hub of the region. It's still going to be where you come and do the big things you want to do. Will it be the place you come and do your grocery shopping? Probably not. You know, there's you know, there's one less supermarket going to be in Richmond shortly, and one more to come in. So a bit of a swap. Yeah, the reality is the population growth currently is out south and west in Tasman. At some point they're going to run out of ground and it's going to go out north. You know, so it'll shift where the growth area is, because, you know, if you go back long enough, Adelaide didn't have any houses in it, and then it grew, so the town grew that way, and then it grew that way, and then it'll grow that way again. It's just the nature of where land becomes the most affordable. You know, the reason people move to Richmond and live on the flat is not because it's that pretty or that convenient. It's just that it's the best value for money. You know, everyone shops at value for money, whether you're buying a house or buying a guitar. So I think the long-term future for Nelson is really, really good. I think, you know, transport infrastructure is obviously a really important people, whether you're doing it by bike, whether you're doing it on a bus, whether you're doing it in a car. If you're a consumer, you want the best solution for your needs, and it's very hard, and it's a very long thing to change people's wants. Do I want to hop on a bus? Nope. No. I want to be in a car.
Yeah. Needs and wants.
Yeah. You know, do I want to hop on a push bike on a nice day like this? Yeah, why not? But on a shitty day, no thanks. You've got to be a real advocate and a real fan of biking to want to actually bike on a crappy winter's day in Nelson. Yeah.
Especially if you've got the kids pick up from school. Yeah. They're going to go home on the bicycle, just come back in.
Going to come and stand by a fridge. It's pretty difficult to do it on the push bike or on the bus. You know.
I just 6-7 months ago, it's midwinter, and there's a lot of discussion about 4 leases in town. And you know, pre-COVID, I think we had approximately just over 4 years ago. It was about 30-odd 4 leases. And currently, right now, we have 13, 14, 15 4 leases in town of the retail and hospitality.
Yep.
And you sent me this, which I found quite fascinating, because you can see in that picture there on the left, it's actually got your first car. You probably just stole or borrowed from your parents. But just looking at this,
my father had more taste.
So what year was that?
Yeah,
that's got to be mid-70s.
Right, 70s. What was the Nelson Public Relations Office?
There used to be a Nelson Public Relations.
I know, I remember that, but I don't know what they did.
Was that an eyesight?
It was like you.
What?
No one knows what they do.
Yeah.
Or did.
Okay. It's okay. Cut.
Paid for by council. It's just very similar.
Very similar to me, yeah. It's interesting how many of those buildings don't exist anymore.
Yes.
And the comments
Amazing,
they
isn't it?
made why there were vacancies,
Yeah.
because they're old, redundant from the 30s or 40s or 50s. And I love that, what you said.
So it's kind of a very similar argument to what's going on now, but
Yeah.
but it's natural attrition, isn't it? You know, it was interesting you were saying before that, you know, there's a lot of talk about it needs changes. Nelson needs changes. But you know, Paul, who we spoke to from 8 Plate, said, "Oh, I left Nelson. There wasn't much to do in the 2000s." Well, I said, "Try the 80s." And but when I came back to Nelson, it was a far different city to when I left, and not only from a look and feel, but who was in it. You know, and the cafes outside, and there was a much diverse range of population. And even I've been back now, I think maybe 15, 16 years. Even that's grown, I think, as a city because of the makeup of the population, the cuisine, the diverse culture that we have, the attitude, you know. So naturally things improve and change over time. I can hear the voices now. Come on, Chris, you know, we need to do something. And we need to always talk about the future and ideas. But, you know, on a day like this, you walk around the city with the trees and the green and the blue sky. It's pretty hard to beat.
I've been to a lot of towns in New Zealand, a lot of cities in New Zealand, and you know, in the last few years, and there are very few that would match Nelson. And certainly, I don't think anyone would beat Nelson from a, you know, shopping experience, visual look. You know, if you ask those cruise ship guys who've been in the last few weeks what Nelson looks like, they would all rave about how pretty the city is. You know, whereas we walk around going, "Oh yeah, we could clean that up." Like, yeah, we could. But the basic bones are actually.
We do Yuki Nelson, especially in the summer. You bump into the tourists, and I introduce myself and ask them 3 or 4 questions. What are you doing? What do you think of Nelson City? And it's amazing how we live here. And we go, you know, it needs a good. They go, it's so clean, and we love the flowers, and we love the national park.
We want to get the water blasters.
Yeah, I mean, it's like that perception of who we are. We're quite hard on ourselves, I think. Yes, we do need it. We do want a vision where we're going to be in 5 or 10 or 15 years, but it's not broken.
No,
it's not.
Not even close to being broken.
All right, Tim. Hey, look, fantastic. Thanks very much for taking some time out.
Why don't I ask one more question?
Sure.
I've never asked you this.
Oh.
Since I met you in 1863. I've always been meaning to ask you this, Tim.
You were quite old back then.
Yeah. I'm getting younger. How many musical instruments do you play?
Bugger all.
Oh.
How many can I fake?
How many can I fake? It's funny, I worked for the French government for 9 years, and my mother always was surprised after we were you don't speak a word of French. How can you work for the French government? So you're telling me, since 85, you don't play anything?
He hasn't got time. He's
too busy what?
He's too busy selling musical solutions. He hasn't got time to play musical instruments.
He's always hiding things.
You wait, one day he'll get up and he'll do a solo performance on New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
Bring the house down there.
He can ride a boat. I know he can ride a boat. That's a different story.
All right, Tim, thank you very much for coming in, mate. I realised they had a big history. I don't think I knew that it had such a long history, and also in the 50s up to 50 shops and 400 staff. So that's an amazing story. That is. It's been around for so long. So well done on keeping the ship sailing, mate. And you're certainly part of the furniture here in Nelson. So hope you're not going anywhere soon. Hope you'll be there for years to come.
Yeah. It depends what the doctor says on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's right.
Chris,
morning phone call.
Chris and I pop into off into his shop next week, and we'll hum it, and you got to strum it, okay? I want to find out what you play.
Right. Big thanks to Tim Babbage for taking time to share his musical insights with us, and thanks to the team from 8 Plates Restaurant, top end of Trafalgar Street, providing this incredible venue. You can catch this podcast on uniquelynelson.co.nz and watch out for it in the Nelson Advantage and on talknelson.co.nz. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next week for more stories from the talk of the town. This is Chris Butler, Simon Duffy
Yep.
signing off. Until next time, Nelson, stay unique.
Excellent, Tim.